YouTube, it's Borders Dude and I am back with a video review, and today I'm taking a look at my first ever fans hobby purchase, and that is fans hobby Athena. I picked this up from Kapow Toys while she was in the sale. Now, on first impressions, this figure definitely does capture the animation model of Master Force Mirvena and does it very well, right down to those 70s flares in the legs. I think that's a fantastic touch. When it comes to paint on this figure, there's very little. The majority of it is coloured plastic, but where they have used paint, such as the silver on the grille and the blue on the crotch, it's done dead well. Plus, stickers have been used here, and they've been used very well. It's a nice touch to see stickers in a figure that you purchase in this day and age, but it is a bit of a pain to apply that sticker set correctly. But let's take a closer look at the figure's face sculpt. Let's bring her in, and I absolutely love it. I love that blue metallic paint that they have used there. It captures, again, that design very well of Mirvena. There is another head sculpt, or rather a face, that you can swap out a faceplate. That gives her an open mouth look, but I prefer the closed mouth design. Let's have a look at the profile of the figure. Yeah, there's a bit of kibble here, but that goes with the design of the character. And you can remove this part here. There will be a bit of parts forming when it comes to transformation, but that's not the end of the world for me personally. Overall, the robot mode captures what it needs to. It's very faithful to the animation model itself. Let's take a look at Athena's articulation. The head is on a ball joint, so can do a full 360. The head, of course, does come off because she is a Headmaster Junior figure. The arm could do a full 360 if it wasn't for the backpack and the, I guess, the other part of the car on her arm. There is a shoulder joint there that allows that degree of movement. We do get a bicep cap, a rather wonderful high bend at the knee. The fingers on the hand are actually 2 pin joints, which are pretty cool, make a nice fist. The fist itself can do a full 360, but you have to be very careful with it. And there's this little slot in the arm there that you can move the hand up. As you can see, the ball joints on my figure are a bit iffy. You get an ab crunch on the figure and also a waist swivel, which is quite cool to see on a Transformer figure. Leg is in a ball joint. I can give you all the motions you'd expect. There isn't a thigh cut really, none at all. Limited bend at the knee, and there's not an ankle rocker as such. This is just the way that part of the foot moves for transformation. But you get a fairly decent amount of articulation there on the figure. Not quite masterpiece level though. For accessories, Athena really comes with 4. You have the removable faceplate, which I've already mentioned. Unfortunately, I don't have it at hand to show. But you also get 2 blasters. Now, we have the blaster here. It's just really white plastic with that nice silver speckled paint they've used. Really cool looking, and you can fold them up for them to look like this, and you can store them in robot mode on the side here with that peg, and they simply just pop in like so. Now, the other gimmick rather than accessory Athena has is if you pull down her ample chest, you get a tech spec readout. Now, that still stays there even with the Headmaster removed, as you'll see now. So it doesn't work in the traditional Headmaster gimmick way, but it's a nice feature that they added in the figure just to give it that little bit of extra panache. As this figure is meant to be masterpiece scaled, it's only fitting that we use masterpiece figures to test that theory out. So here she is beside the official Takara Sunstreaker and X-Transbots Toro. I think they scale okay, but what do you guys think in terms of the scale in robot mode? I've changed the camera angle so you know it's transformation time. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the Headmaster Junior figure. Now this Headmaster figure can transform, but true to my luck with third-party transformers, I've broke the leg off the figure and it's held in by the magic of blue tack. But you get the idea as to what the figure looks like. Again, they've used that nice glittery type paint for the visor. It's a nice, cute little Headmaster Junior figure. Now we also want to remove this part of the figure, and this will make the roof of the car. Nice straightforward part of the transformation here. And there we go. Just pop that over to the side. Alright, I'm going to start with the legs. Now, this is generally a fairly straightforward transformation that we have here with this figure. It's just things like clearance that tend to get in the way of certain parts of the transformation itself. Now you'll see I've moved just stuff out the way there for this reason. So what we do is we're just really bringing the leg over, well, bending the knee, bringing the leg over, and this part here is going to tab into here once we get everything sitting flush. So all you're really doing is just adjusting bits and bobs, putting that tab down, and then we're going to lift this over. And this is again where the clearance does become a bit of an issue. Now this bit will come up soon, but I want to get the other leg done first. So it's the same idea again. We're just going to open this up, and this will fall off, but hey ho. Again, this part goes in, slide it in. We're going to open this up. We're going to bring it up like that, and we're going to maneuver the leg over. Bring this part up here, and we're just going to let it tab in. And like I say, it's just getting it over the sort of clearance issue that causes the biggest problem on this figure, I feel. If it wasn't for that, you know, you wouldn't have this sort of issue. But as Transformer fans, this sort of clearance has never really been an issue in the past with other figures, especially in mainline retail. We do get that issue quite often. So I'm going to leave that part as is just now. I'm not going to do the doors just yet because I want to focus on the top part. Now we need to break up our waist. And I really like this part of the transformation. I think it's dead clever. So we have to lift that up, and then we're going to bring it down, turn it around like so. So again, watching very carefully. So we're going to lift that up, bring it down, turn it around again. I think that's really clever how that works. I don't know how exactly it works, but it just does. Very clever bit of design. Now the arms, when transforming the arms, be careful that these parts of the car don't fall off because they're a bit of a pain to get back in, back into the ball joint. Now what we're wanting to do is bring that arm up like that, and we're going to bend, use that high bend. But what we want to do is just twist it so it's sitting like that. So we've got that nice twist there. We're going to bring the fingers out and just pop them as flush as you can at the side. So the same again, bring that part in. We want to twist around that swivel there. Bring the hands in and just get them as flush as you can. You can obviously adjust this a little bit once everything is put together. Come back to the bottom of the car and let's unpeg those doors. These doors themselves are on this sort of plastic pin joint, which scares me a little bit. Doesn't seem fragile, but with my luck, when it comes to third-party transformers, I'm always very cautious. So we just want to lift the black bit out first, and then the windshield for each side. As you can see, I've done it the other way about on this one, so it doesn't really matter how you do it, I suppose. Now we're just going to tab them in. Bring these parts up, so just really push that up to give you a bit of tolerance if you need it, a bit of extra leverage. It will untab, certainly. Don't worry too much about that, it's just part and parcel of the transformation. Now we want to get these swiveled round. Now at this point you might find that the arm does pop out. Once you've done that, lift these parts up of the car. Should have really done that first, to be honest, but you get the idea. Now we want to bring those arms down again. Bring it in here. This is the point where if you wanted to, you could put the weapons in this little storage slot here. And they will stay in there, but it's a fairly loose fit and they do tend to pop off. So I've tabbed that part in. We're now just going to tidy up here, really. You can see things do untab on this transformation. It's just one of those things, really. Tab tolerances and what not. Now, if you were going to put the Headmaster Junior in, and I can't do that because mine is broken, at this point here you'd bring up, I guess this would be the steering wheel. The figure's meant to sit in here, but it really is a pain to get that done. It doesn't sit flush, and I hope that's something they correct with their Nightbeat figure. They have a little bit of retooling. So I've adjusted the wing mirrors here. Let's bring them out. Now we want to get the roof of the car on. Start with this part here into the post. If you can, just have it sitting loose. But the issue you have really is just getting these two tabs in. They don't sort of slot in and stay connected. It's a very loose connection. I think that's intentional with the design. But once it sits in, it does tend to stay. And then just make sure the windows of the car are up. I'm going to bring this down, pop everything together, and then it'll just be a case of adjusting everything till everything sits flush. But that is more or less your transformation there into alt mode. I love Athena's alt mode. There's just something about taking an 80s sports car and dolling it up in emergency deco that just really appeals to me, especially when it's a Porsche. Now again, the majority of this is just coloured plastic, not much paint, but is accentuated with those emergency stickers on the figure, and there is some paint at the front here and it's done nicely. I love the headlights and the taillights done in that clear plastic, as well as the siren at the top. The tyres themselves are rubber, and that silver paint trim on the hubcaps or wheel rims has been done dead well. It's a really cool alt mode with just little touches you'll see more of the more you look at it. The wing mirrors again with that silver paint, really nice. It's definitely the strongest of the two modes, I'd say, once you get everything set up in place. You can still see the odd join here where the roof's put in or tabbed in, but it doesn't really break up the mold too much. And this is all paint here, the stripes are paint. So it's a really good alt mode, and it does indeed roll. Just be careful of the tolerances when you are transforming to give you that gap at the bottom of the car. And here's the size comparison in alt mode with other third-party figures. So there's the official Masterpiece Hot Rod and the original version of Fan Toys Sea Spray. I think it scales okay. Fan Toys Sea Spray has always been a bit iffy there, the original version certainly. But what do you guys think in terms of the scale in alt mode? Let's go over the pros and cons of Fans Hobby Athena and if I would recommend this figure. The pros of the figure are, in terms of design, in both robot and alt mode, they have captured the look of Mirvena absolutely fine. I think they've done a really good job there. The paint, while limited where they have used it, particularly in robot mode on the face sculpt and other parts of the body to highlight the figure itself, it's done really well. It especially shows up in alt mode with those wheel trims. I think that's a nice touch there, and of course on the wing mirror on the alt mode itself. They're nice and little clever touches. Stickers, a very basic thing to include and maybe cheaper than paint, but I really do love it when you do get stickers with a transformer. It's not something you see often these days, so that was a nice welcome touch. The plastic quality is okay, it's not premium at all. I definitely say it's more sort of main retail quality plastic than it is collector masterpiece grade plastic. Just the overall design of the figure I like in both modes. So that's the positives for me. Now, negatives, and this is where this figure gets a lot of controversy. It is billed as a masterpiece scale figure, and it definitely is, in my opinion. It scales well with masterpiece figures, but like the final Victory set that came out last year or the year before, it's not masterpiece in quality at all. The paint isn't there, the feel of the plastic isn't there at all. And that's a bit of a shame, because there's so many things here that you could put towards it and an argument being masterpiece quality, but the quality of the plastic and the lack of paint apps really affect this figure in terms of that scale. The QC on my figure is a bit dubious in areas such as on the legs. The ball joints are loose. There's a loose knee joint on the left knee of the figure that I'll need to have a look to fix. And the issue with getting the Headmaster Junior in the driver's seat is a big oversight when it comes to having a Headmaster figure and that playability and that toyetic quality that Headmasters really need to have. This is something I'm certainly hoping that they have redesigned for the issue or the release of Nightbeat that is due out soon. If they do fix that and just fix the niggling tabbing and sort of other issues, you know, such as just the way things are designed and space and tolerance, it'll be okay. But in saying that, I still would recommend picking up this figure. If you're a fan of this character, apart from the Generation 1 toy, you don't really have other options apart from customs. But this does the character justice well, and even though the masterpiece quality and feel isn't there, it will scale with your masterpiece figures if you do so wish. Just have the figure a little bit at the back of the shelf to hide its shortcomings. But it's a definite win and a pickup I would recommend if you can get it maybe a little bit cheaper than retail price. But I'm hoping, as I've already mentioned, that when Nightbeat gets released, they've ironed out those issues, because this is an impressive figure. Just those little issues bring it down a bit. Thank you very much for watching this video. I do appreciate your time, and if you did like this video, let me know in the comment section below, or just what you think of this figure in general. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you again soon with another video.